This is probably the most requested lesson I've had. People Everywhere by Khruangbin. Let's get into it. Before I start, I just want to say a quick thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Your support means the world to me. Doing this stuff is very time consuming, especially with full-time teaching and gigging. So your support really helps. There's a tip jar on my Patreon as well. If you just want to chuck me a few quid and then unsubscribe, that'd be great. Every little helps. I do also offer one-to-one video lessons. So if you'd like to go into more detail with me directly, that is an option. My evenings are incredibly busy. So if you're in the UK or east of me, time zone wise, that's perfect. If you're west of me, it might be tricky to fit you in, but it's worth inquiring. There's no harm in inquiring. I'm going to start with the little rhythm part that kicks the song off. So we've got two chords, D minor and C6. This part is played with fingers, so we're going to have thumb on D string, index on G string, and middle on B string. And we're going to do this little... It's really important to pay attention to the staccato moments. So we've got... And at that point, kill everything, get everything muted. Same there. That's not staccato, but it's just a 16th followed by a rest, so it's very short. And then we've got this 8th note staccato. So there's a lot of that. Mute, 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 like that. And it's the same thing with the C6. Okay, now onto the bit that everyone wants to learn, the lead stuff. We're using C major pentatonic. I should also say, before we get into the lead stuff, he's using a pick for the lead part. So before you go trying to play it with your fingers and struggle and can't keep up, it's pick. So make it easier for yourself. And we start on beat 3 of the first bar, and it goes into this little grace note hammer on from 5 to 7 on beat 1 of the next bar. So it goes with the click. Like that. This is at 60, by the way. Then on the E of 3 in bar 2, we start this little repeating idea, this little rhythm. I'm going to tap the rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Like that. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. And the part is a grace note hammer on from 5 to 8 on the B string. And then you just play that 8 again, the G note. So it goes 2, 3. Now, in bar 4 is where we kick into the real hook of the song. And I'm going to take a minute just to talk about his right hand. The way he plays throughout this entire song is very much what I refer to as a 16th bounce with his right hand. It's the way I often teach 16th note subdivisions on the guitar, especially for beginners, intermediate, that kind of thing. It's not the right or the only way, but it's a way that works. The idea is your right hand just constantly goes down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you're going to be going down on beats and ands and up on E's and as. So if I put a click on at 60, that's me playing 16ths. And his hand keeps moving. If you watch him play this live, his hand keeps moving like that. Even when he's not playing notes, he's still keeping this bounce going. And what it does is it adds something to the groove. Definitely, it adds something to the feel, the groove, but also the directions are spoken for. You don't have to think about whether you're playing down or up. It's already there, and you just have to make contact with the string. When I play it and when I did it in that cover, I'm not sticking to it 100% of the time. But for the most part, that's what I'm doing, just keeping this. You see Corey Wong advocate for this kind of thing as well. So yeah, very, very useful thing to get under your hand. So let's have a look at starting off this hook. We come in on the E of 3 and we play this. So because it's on the E, I'm starting with an upstroke. I'll play that with a click. Do it one time. And this line really flows into the next bar. It's not like a standalone thing, you know, it really rolls into the next bar. So the next bar is kind of, the next few notes are really integral to that line I just played. So that next bar, bar 5, goes like this. You see the back end of that bar is exactly the same as bar 4. I'll do that again. Bar 6 is exactly the same as bar 5. Now getting from bar 6 into bar 7 is quite tricky. Here's how I go about it. So I go, I then play the first note of bar 7 with my index finger, like that, and then shift my hand down a couple of frets and play these 2 3s, these 2 C notes with my index finger again. So it'd go like this. Like that. I'll play the end of bar 6 into bar 7. And then at the end of bar 7, you can see it's the same idea as bar 4, bar 5, you know, he repeats that all the time. Bars 7 and 8 are identical. Bars 9 and 10 are exactly the same as bar 5, so nothing new to learn there. Bar 11 is exactly the same as bar 7, so nothing new to learn there either. So if we pick up at bar 12, we've got the same opening thing. Then on the E of 2, we could do this C note. We do a dead note on the A string. On the A of 2, we play the 5th fret of the A string. And then it's 3 E Anna, hammer on. Like that. And then 4 E Anna. By the way, a lot of these runs that he's doing, you know, like this very light touch in the left hand. Almost like the vibration of the string is kind of repelling the finger off, which gives it that kind of short, snappy sound. So bar 12 on its own with a click at 60. 3, 4. Bar 13 is also the same as bar 5, so nothing new to learn there. Bar 14 is a little bit different. Hammer on from 5 to 7 on the G string, and then the 2 low D notes on the A string. Then it's E Anna in beat 2, which is the same as those other bars. And then it's E Anna of 3, starts with a hammer on, and then 4 E Anna. With the click. That goes straight into bar 15, where we've got 1 Anna. And then this particularly difficult moment, we've got E Anna, but the difficulty is in the muting. So he's only playing the C note on G string. I use my pinky. I find it easier to do the muting and to get back to my index. But you could use your ring finger for that note. So E Anna. So on the E, he's kind of grabbing a lot of the strings. On the and, just a couple, I'm starting to shrink my right hand movement. And then just the A string on its own, upstroke, because it's on an A. And then the second half of that bar is just your standard, your usual. So I'll play that bar with a click, bar 15. And bar 16, we've got the same one Anna on the C note. Then we've got E Anna. That hammers on, and we've got 3 E Anna. And then 4 E Anna. With the click. Bar 17 is again identical to bar 5, so nothing new to learn there. Bar 18, standard hammer on, 1 E Anna. Then it's E Anna. We've got that D on G, couple of dead notes on the and then Pinky does this on the A. So it's 2 E and A. And then it's E Anna of 3, and then 4 E Anna. So that whole bar. Bar 19, E Anna, E Anna, E Anna, E A. With the click. Bar 20, E Anna, 2 E Anna, 3 E Anna, 4 E Anna. But on the A of 4, you've got that grace note hammer on. Whole bar with the click. Bar 21, E on the D on G, D note on G. Upstroke because it's on an E. 2 E Anna, 3 E Anna, 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 22, E of 1, 2 E Anna, 3 E Anna, starts with that dead note, and then hammer on, and then A. Like that. 3 E Anna, 4 E Anna. This one it's a hard moment to hear exactly what it's doing, but it sounds how I've transcribed it, which is A, C, grace note, slide on the hand from C to D, and then grace note slide on the A from D to E. So, like that. Tricky to execute. I'll do it a bit quicker. Tricky to execute. Let's hear the whole bar with a click. Bar 23, E of 1. That D note on the G string. Then we've got 2 E Anna. The first 3 notes are all ghost notes, so basically just press really lightly. Like that, like you're barely getting the note. So yeah, 2 E Anna, 3 E and 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 24, E of 1, 3 E Anna. Again, we've got that the ghost notes going on. Just really lightly press them. It's not ghost note because he's playing them quietly. It's a ghost note because he's like barely fretting it. But I can't just put a dead note because I want to specify what fret he's playing. So it's 2 E Anna. And that A directly, you know, you hammer on to beat 3 from the C note to the D note. So, and that third beat is 3 Anna, so it'll be hammer on and then hammer on from 5 to 7. I'll play the first 3 beats of that bar. And then in the fourth beat, it's 4 Anna, and we've got, it's like a double stop, but it feels like he's really going for that D string note, but his index is covering the D and G strings on the 5th fret. So it's I'll play the whole bar. Okay, bar 25. E of 1, 2 Anna, but the first 3 are kind of ghost notes, so just press really lightly. And then it feels like that note on the A kind of pops out a bit more. Then it's E Anna, 4 Anna. Whole bar. Bar 26, E of 1, 2 Anna, 3 Anna, 4 Anna. Another little tricky grace note moment there. So we've got the A, hammer on, upstroke on this C note, grace note slide on the and then you hit that note again on the A. I'll play the whole bar. Bar 27, E of 1, then 2 Anna, but we've got a couple of 30-second notes there, hammer on, pull off, so it's 2 E and A, 2 E and A, 3, 2 E and A, 3. And that pull off to the C happens on beat 3. 3 E Anna, so it's a pull off, and then Anna. And then we've got a couple of 30-second notes again, the same little idea, the hammer on pull off. And that pull off will happen on the E. That'll be 4E, 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 and then Anna. I'll play the whole bar. Bar 28, E of 1, and then the A of 1, just a dead note on the A string. So 1 E and A, 2 Anna, 3 Anna, 4 Anna. Whole bar. Bar 29. 1 Anna, 2 Anna, 3 Anna. We've got this kind of open G string. And then another couple of these 30-second note hammer on pull off thing. In beat 4. 4 Anna, like that. Whole bar. Bar 30 would be exactly the same as bar 5 if you ignored the ghost notes and dead note. You could just play it exactly the same as bar 5, but if you want to put those ghost notes in, it would sound like this. And bar 31 would be exactly the same as bar 7, again if you ignored the ghost note and dead note. But I'll play it with a click, the whole thing, if you wanted to include the ghost note and dead note. Bar 32, same opening idea. Then it's 2 Iana. 3 Iana, starting with a hammer on. 3 Iana. And then 4 Iana. Whole bar. Bars 33 and 34 are identical to bar 30, so no need for me to demo that one. Bar 35 is exactly the same as bar 7, so we already know that one. Bar 36, we've got the usual 1 Ana, E Ana of 2, 3 Ana, starting with a hammer on, and then 4 Ana. Whole bar. Bar 37, 1 Iana. And I've got this octave shape here. It's a D octave. 7 on G, 10 on E. So it's 1 Iana. And then 2 Iana. And then that same idea is just repeated 2 more times. 3 Iana, 4 Iana. Whole bar. Bar 38 starts exactly the same, 1 Iana. Now this is 2 Iana, and it's pretty much the same as what's preceded it. I've notated that note on the beat as being a ghost note. It's like he's kind of more hitting the upstroke on the E. So if you really want to try and work the dynamics into that, cool. If not, just play it exactly the same as the other one. Ignore the ghost note. So bar 38, and I'll try and get those ghost notes in there. Bar 39, 1 Iana. E A of 2. 3 E Ana. On the and, he does this little grace note pull off to the 5th fret. Not sure if it's intentional. It's definitely got that sound, you know, his kind of sound. But I don't know if he was intending to just play and he kind of just moved too late to the 5. But chances are he intended this like that. And then 4 Iana. So bar 39. Bar 40, start with that 30-second note, hammer on, pull off thing. And it's E Ana after that. So 1 Iana. E Ana of 2. 3 E Ana. And I've put a note on the transcription that says 7D. That's to say it's a dead note, but I think he's hovering over that 7th fret of the D string. So I'll go. I know it seems a little bit over the top to specify which note to be hovering over when you play a dead note. So you can completely ignore it if you want, but on that particular note, it just seemed quite obvious which one he was doing, so I thought I'd put it in. So it's 3 Iana, and then it's 4 Iana. 4 Iana. Just something to note, you can see he slides back to that 7 on beat 1. So if I play from beat 4, it would be like that. And then that's immediately followed by playing on the E of the next bar. Let's hear all of bar 40 with the click. Bar 41, on 1, we slide to the 7, 1, and then we pick that note again on the E. And then it's 2 Iana, 3 Iana, and then here, a little tricky if you want to replicate exactly what he's doing. He's doing a hammer on from 5 to 7, But when he does that, he's also, you can hear he's doing a hammer on from nowhere on the 7th fret of the D string. Like that. And then it's just Anna. Whole bar. Bar 42 starts the same way that we ended bar 41 with that little 1 Anna, like a double stop hammer on, and then the Anna on the A note on the D string, 7th fret. And does that twice, so it's 1 Anna, 2 Anna, and then it's 3 Anna, 4 Anna. I'll play the whole bar. Bar 43, 1 Anna. So we go dead note, upstroke because it's on an E, pull off on the and then upstroke on that 5th fret again. Then it's 2 Anna, 3 Anna, 4 Anna. Whole bar. Bar 44, 1 Anna. We start this beat 2 with a little 32nd note hammer on pull off again. And then we play the, and that note is a 16th. And then we play the 8th fret of the B string, 16th. And then we repeat that rhythmic idea, that little thing. So it might be best, and we do that 2 times, and then the 3rd time is just slightly different. Instead of going down to this 8, you go up to this 8, and then you do another 32nd note hammer on. Probably best to just play that with the click and just kind of do it by feel and listening. So I'll go from beat 2. Now if I include beat 1 as well. Bar 45 starts with a grace note slide from C to D. Like that, on 1, and that's it for that beat. Then we've got 2 E and another 32nd note hammer on pull off. And then the pull off happens on beat 3. 2 E and 3. Beat 3 is 3 E Anna, so it'll be a pull off. 3 E and and then 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 46, E of 1, 2 E Anna, 3 E Anna, starts with a dead note, upstroke on this C note, hammer on to the 5th fret, and then grace note slide it on the and then on the it's the 5th fret of the D string. So go 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 47, E, A, 4 E and then we've got the same old 32nd note hammer on pull off, and the pull off will happen on beat 3. 3 E Anna, 4 E, A. Whole bar. Bar 48, E, 2 E Anna, 3 E A. So we've got this dead note on 3, hammer on grace note, 16th, so there's a rest, and then upstroke on the 5th fret of the G string. So 3 E and A, and then 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 49. E of 1. 2 Iana. Again, we've got like this. I think he's fretting the A and D strings, but I feel like he's really going for that D string. So I've put the A string note as a ghost note. So it'll be, then it's the 32nd note, hammer on pull off. And then a staccato 8th note on the and of the beat. So it's 3 E and then the next beat is similar, but we add in this on the A. So it's, so I'll play the whole bar. Bar 50, E. Then it's in beat 2, it's Iana. 2 E and A, 2 E and A. Then on beat 3, you hammer on to the 5th fret, but do a grace note slide to 7. So it'd be like, and it's 3 E Anna, so it's, and then 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 51, E, 2 Iana, and on the A we've got the only bend that he does in the whole song. So it's 2 E and A, and you can kind of hear the bend kind of come down a bit before he hits that D note again on the E of 3, but it's really hard to notate that accurately. So if you just want to play it as per the tab, that's fine. So go 2 E and A, and then like I said, in beat 3 it's just the E of 3, and then 4 Iana. Grace note hammer on with the click. Bar 52, E of 1, so upstroke. This bit, I could have notated that as a grace note hammer on because we spent such a short amount of time on that G note. But for some reason when I was listening to it, it felt like more of like a rhythmic thing, like 2 separate rhythmic events. But you can just approach it like a grace note hammer on is fine. So it's essentially kind of like 1 Anna. Then it's 2 Iana, 4 Iana. With the click. Bar 53. Lots of C notes. 1 Iana, 2 Iana, 3 and A. So on the out of 3, we drop from that C note to the A note. So 1 Iana, 2 Iana, 3 E and A. And then we've got a similar rhythmic idea to the very start of the song. Grace note hammer on 4. Then you play that C again on the and then you start the idea again, that little cell, that little chunk. He does this sort of stuff a lot. So it's or Anna, or Anna, and that grace note hammer on that happens on the A is the start of that same thing. I'll play bar 53 with the click. That rhythmic idea keeps going until beat 2 of bar 55 roughly. So I might just play bar 53, 54 into the second beat of bar 55. And that pull off happens on beat 2 of bar 55, and then it's 2 E Anna. 2 E and 3 E Anna. And those two notes are commencing another little repeating idea. 4 E Anna. So I'm going to I'll play from beat 2 of bar 55. Bar 56 starts with that same C major pentatonic 16ths descending. 1 E, Anna, 2 E, and then it's Anna, 3 E, and here he breaks out of that pattern and plays the G note on the D string, 5th fret. Then it's 4 Anna. So if I play bar 56 with the click. Bar 57 starts E and. It's actually 1 E and, but the first note is tied and it's still ringing through the previous bar line. So we'll just consider it E and. So it's 2 E A, 3 E Anna, 4 E Anna. Grace note slide from 9 to 7. Pull off to the 5th fret on E, and then Anna. With the click. Bar 58, E A, 2 E Anna, 3 E Anna, and here you can hear he's really light touch, which is giving it that staccato kind of sound. 4 E Anna. Whole bar. Bar 59, 1 E Anna, 2 E Anna, 3 E Anna, and that note actually is tied into beat 4, so it's like and then it's E Anna, and you can kind of hear him drag that slide that 9th fret note back down to the 7th fret just before he plays that note on the E of 4. So it's like with the click. Bar 60, 1 Anna, staccato, 8th note. And then he starts to form that octave shape that we used earlier for the D note. But this time it's a C octave. So it's 1 Anna. And I've put most of these high C notes as ghost notes, but you could just ignore the ghost note aspect and just play it as a regular note. So we go. Then it's E Anna of 2, 3 E Anna, and the first note is a dead note, and then 4 E Anna. At that point, he definitely migrates more down to the higher strings and just plays that single note with the click. And then bar 61, he just hits that single C note. And that is pretty much it. Unless, of course, you're trying to take on the widdly widdly bit at the end. So when he hits that C note at the start of bar 61, he kind of plays 16ths. And then I haven't tabbed this bit because it's just too difficult to tab this. But I'll talk you through some of the ideas. He kicks off this little, again, he loves those little repeating motifs, cells, and it goes 5 to 8 hammer on, pick that 2 more times, pull off, and that starts the thing again. So hammer on, pick, pull off, hammer on, pick, pull off, hammer on, pick. Loves those kind of things. Takes a lot of time to get it up to that speed. Make sure it's even. See, I'm starting off really slow. Slowly build it up. Whew, okay, then he basically kind of goes down C major pentatonic as always, but he's thinking D minor. He's kind of doing, you could either just do legato hammer on pull-offs from 5 to 8 on the B string, or you could kind of try and pick every other one. Something like that. And then same C major pentatonic, but on the G string, the D and C notes. You could either do, pure legato, just hammer on and pull off. Or you could do pick every other note. And then he kind of goes into this, which is just, again, C major pentatonic on the G string, 7, 9, 7, 5, repeated. So I'm going to slide up, slide down, pull off, and then pick and start the whole thing again. That kind of thing. As always, for this kind of thing, and for his playing in general, quite a light touch required. You don't want to be putting a load of tension through your arm. You just need to maintain the right amount of pressure with your finger, but everything else is quite relaxed. Otherwise, you just get kind of stuck on the neck. And then at the very end, the chord kind of changes to C to finish the song. And I think he's in like open C major pentatonic position. So he hits this low C note, and then he goes hammer on from 0 to 2 on the D string, hammer on from 0 to 2 on the G string, and there's 1 and 3. And then he sort of just comes back the way he came with these little like trill kind of hammer on pull off things. So like, and then at the end you can hear him just going 0, 3 on the A string, and he sort of slows that trill down. So like that. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Hope you found it useful. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And if you'd like to support me even further, the link to my Patreon is below as well. Thanks very much. See you next time.